Peace, everybody. Welcome to Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Rob Jarrell.
And today, we're going to give you guys our 2013 year in review, which we'll go over Fight of the Year, and what we're looking forward to for 2014. I almost said 13. But we're going to start off with the Fighter of the Year, and we'll go over all the guys who are the candidates and then pick our winner. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay, so this was actually one of the toughest decisions because there were so many great fights, there were so many great fighters, and it was so many great fighters that were in fights of significance. I mean, of course you have Floyd Mayweather as a candidate just because of the fact that he fought twice in a year, which he doesn't really do that often, in mega fights against Canelo Alvarez and, well, not quite the mega fight, but his comeback fight versus Robert Guerrero. So that was for defending the welterweight championship and getting the super welterweight championship. Another fighter candidate was Adonis Stevenson, who fought 4 times this year, won 4 times this year, and won by knockout 4 times this year to capture the 175-pound title, defend it, and avenge a knockout loss against Darnell Boone. So again, that's another fight. It's just of significance. And I would say maybe one more fighter of the year at the very least would have been who?
You could go with Guillermo Rigondeaux. He won the 122 championship from Nonito Donaire, then defended it against King Kong Agbeko in 2 almost whitewashes.
Right.
Then you also have Gennady Golovkin, who won 4 times as well by knockout, defended his middleweight portion of the title. We'll go into the pluses and minuses of that later on. And really, though, Sergey Kovalev also won all his fights by KO as well. He beat Nathan Cleverly. He beat Ishmael Salat. He beat, what was that guy's name? I cannot think of it right now.
He beat him, and it was by knockout.
Did he beat Campillo this year?
And he beat Campillo as well.
It was one guy. Man, I cannot think of that guy's name. I'm going to put it at the bottom when I go research it. But, you know, we shoot from the hip. But let's, now that we've done that, let's go into the pluses and minuses of each fighter and why they should win it and why they should not win it. And we're going to start with the last person we talked about, Gennady Golovkin. Now, Gennady Golovkin won 4 victories this year by knockout, and they weren't just like regular old knockouts. They were spectacular knockouts. He beat Nobuhiro Ishida. That was in March. Mm-hmm. Gabriel Rosado. That was in January. So let me go. January, Rosado. Then Ishida. Then he beat Macklin in June.
Oof, what a body shot.
Yeah, then he beat Curtis Stevens in November. Very good wins. But none of those guys were champions. They never have been champions. Macklin has challenged for the title, but lost.
I mean, just the middleweight division is very top heavy, and he's part of that top heavy group. You're talking about Peter Quillin, Sergio Martinez, himself, and those are pretty much the 3 guys in that division. Yeah. And there's a significant drop off as far as talent and production between those fighters. And for him to fight Stevens, who is probably the best fighter out of the group, is kind of a drop off. Stevens is no slouch. He won the majority of his fights by knockout, and they were spectacular. Yeah. One of them was one of our one-sided ass whoopings. Check it out. But he hadn't fought any top tier fighters, I would say, in that top 5 echelon, baby.
Yeah.
So that's the knock against him. But they were great fights. He showed not only improvement but dominance.
Yep.
So unfortunately, that's kind of his knock on why he doesn't get Fighter of the Year.
All right. So let's move on to Guillermo Rigondeaux. Now, his fight against Nordell was very significant. It was against a top opponent, and he did very well in that fight. Then you have Joseph King Kong Agbeko, who is a former world champion, and he's a multi-weight fighter, but at the time he was coming off maybe a year and some change of a layoff
After a loss.
And so he wasn't sharp, and he pretty much packed it up after the first round.
Do you blame him?
Yeah, that's not Rigondeaux's fault, but because of the situation that Agbeko was coming off of, you can't really give him too many pluses for that. That's really the only knock. I mean, he painted a boxing masterpiece against Donaire, with the exception of being dropped when he got caught square. And Agbeko, I mean, he made him pay 1 or 2 times, and after that he was like, I don't think I want any more of this punishment. I'm going to just try and do the best I can without actually trying to win.
Now, the next 2 fighters are in the same division, 175, and the significance of the wins very high. I will rate Adonis Stevenson slightly above Sergey Kovalev, just off of competition.
Actually, I would rate his a lot higher than Kovalev's. For one, he beat the light heavyweight champion of the world in Chad Dawson, and he did it in less than 2 minutes. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And he did it with I think he only landed 1 or 2 punches in the fight.
That one punch was all it took.
Right, and that's the great thing about the combat sports. All it takes is one. One punch, one kick, one slam, whatever. One mistake and it's a wrap. So he capitalized off that one mistake, won the light heavyweight championship. Then he defends it against a fellow belt holder in Tavares Cloud.
That's right.
Beats him. So now he's unified some of the division. Then he fights a contender in Bellew and beats him in a very entertaining fight. And the only minus would be the Darnell Boone fight, which was kind of like a personal thing because he was avenging a loss. But Darnell Boone really doesn't have a great record. He's not a title challenger or contender. He's just a really tough guy that, had some pop because he dropped Kovalev, he stopped Stevenson, and he dropped Andre Ward. So the guy is...
He's seen a who's who of fighters
Right.
in that division, in 168 and 175.
Yeah.
But the positive is, that was avenging a loss of a knockout, which
Right.
it's kind of hard to come back from, especially against that guy that actually knocked you out.
Right. And then, as far as Kovalev, Kovalev won his title in, I believe, was it September, from Nathan Cleverly, which is a very good win. Cleverly was a solid opponent. He was kind of avoided by some people in that division. I don't really know why, but they weren't really trying to fight him. And he got to keep that belt for a while until Kovalev promptly took it from him very savagely.
Yeah.
Then defended it against Ismail Salak, which was Salak's first title opportunity. And he was on a rebuilding process after his loss from being built up against Dennis Grachev. So while Salak is a really good fighter, at that time, it wasn't a big win for Kovalev.
That's right.
So let's move on to the welterweight and super welterweight champion of the world, Floyd Mayweather. Now, in Robert Guerrero, we had somebody who jumped up 2 divisions, beat two contenders. One, Selçuk Aydin, who I believe he had a belt at one time.
He had a belt at one time, just not at that time.
And then also Andre Berto, who we've known was a former welterweight champ.
That's right.
I mean, he beat the brakes off Andre Berto. Now, Andre Berto he didn't have a belt.
He didn't have a belt.
Sorry, he didn't have a belt. But at the level Robert Guerrero was at, it was a good win. So it got him to fight with Mayweather. He was completely outclassed. But, that's what happens when you step in the ring with Mayweather. So that's really a given.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the real big one was the Canelo Alvarez fight. Now, Canelo Alvarez was the bigger guy, the stronger guy,
The younger guy.
And
number one in the 154-pound division.
he had actually just won the super welterweight title when he unified with Austin Trout and became the man at 154, and promptly had that title taken from him by Mayweather. That's a big deal. You got a guy who is the lineal champion of 2 weight classes, and he did it in the same year.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the only knock on Mayweather is that he only fought twice. Now, when you have those type of big events, you only need to fight twice.
Takes time to build a fight.
Right. Those are 2 very, very significant fights. I mean, the welterweight division, as stacked as it is no question that he is the man in that division. The 154 division is very stacked as well. A lot of those 147s could go to 154 and vice versa. So those 2 divisions, to be the man at both of those, speaks volumes. So it's real tough. Like Adonis Stevenson put in some heavy work this year. And you got to give him credit for that. Floyd Mayweather, he put in some work. We got to say, he put in some work. Just not as much as Stevenson. So, like, for those guys, you just really flip a coin. Whichever one you choose to be fight of the year, I don't think you could be wrong.
Now, in my opinion, I would have to give it to Stevenson. Because of the simple fact that, 1, he knocked out Chad Dawson, who was the man at 175. He fought 4 times this year. Not only did he knock out the man at 175, he knocked out the other champion who was top 5 in that division. On top of fighting 4 years, he said, I'm fighting. He got to make money, he got to eat, he wants these belts. That's exactly what he went out and did. So, in my opinion, I have to give it to Stevenson just because he knocked out 2 fighters in the top 5. The number 1 and probably like the number 3.
Yeah. And like I said before, you can't go wrong with that. You knock out the man, and then you knock out one of the other men. If he had knocked out Kovalev in the same year, it'd be no doubt.
That's right.
And if Mayweather had knocked out either Guerrero or Canelo, then it probably would be no doubt for Mayweather. So, like I said, whichever one you want, pick it, be happy with it, enjoy it. So, I think the BWA, Boxing Writers Association of America, that's like the official title body, like they're going to give the official awards. I think they're going to go with Stevenson. ESPN, Yahoo, a couple of other places went with Mayweather. And we're going to just stop beating the dead horse with that one. Let's move on to Fight of the Year. Now, we had a lot of good fights this year.
A lot.
I can't even think of all of them. As we're filming right now, it's really late. We both been at work all day. But there was some spectacular fights this year. And we're going to talk about 2.
And these were spectacular fights.
Very spectacular fights. The first one was Tim Bradley versus Ruslan Provodnikov. And the second one is Omar Figueroa versus Nahito Arakawa. Now, I'm gonna start with Figueroa Arakawa because that one was not as big.
It was on Friday Night Fights.
No, it was on Showtime. It was on Showtime.
Okay, it was on Showtime.
Yeah. It was one of the Knockout Kings.
I'm sorry, I was thinking Abby Hunt versus
Glenn Tapia.
Yeah,
that was a good fight too.
It was a great fight. That's why I got it mixed up.
Yeah, so I mean, in that fight, you had Omar Figueroa, who's going higher and higher. Does he? He has a title, doesn't he?
He has a title. He's actually going to fight either this month or next month, but it's very soon.
Right. At 130, right?
Yes.
130. Excuse me. The guy is all action. He had been knocking people out left and right up to this point. He was steamrolling guys. Then they got this unknown Japanese guy who comes over and pushes him to the brink. I mean, this fight had, if you are a fan of Rock'em Sock'em Robots, this was a great fight for you. If you were a fan of some good, hard, no scraps, this was a fight for you. If you were a fan of boxing, period, this was a fight for you. I mean, these guys laid it all out on the line. I think they threw about 2,000 punches together, and Arakawa was dropped a couple times. Figueroa was rocked a couple times, and every time you thought that Arakawa was going to be finished, he came back and started landing more punches. So this was one of the few fights that I don't get like really excited a lot. But when I was watching this fight, I was like, oh, like I was jumping out of my seat watching this fight. This was a great fight.
I mean, this was a fight, I'm going to be honest, I flipped to it. I was like, okay, Omar Figueroa, and he's just unknown dude. This shouldn't go that long. I turned back, I was like, oh my God, okay. I'm staying right here. I threw the remote across the room. I'm texting Hakeem. Doesn't matter. This was a great fight.
Yeah. So then we go to the other candidate that we had for Fight of the Year, which was Tim Bradley versus Ruslan Provodnikov. Now this one kind of flew under the radar because one, this was Provodnikov's first fight on HBO. Mm-hmm. He had been a moonlighter of the ESPN Friday Night Fight circuit. I was a big fan of him. I didn't think he was ready for Tim Bradley. I thought he was going to get his ears boxed off. He did, but he stepped up big time. And when I say big time, I mean big time. He had Tim Bradley out at one point.
In the first?
Yeah, the first 2 rounds. I don't think anybody would have been upset if they stopped that fight. But the heart of Tim Bradley came through, and he just showed that this guy, he is one of the top boxers in the game right now with his performance that night. And you had to respect both of those guys afterwards.
So, I mean, with Provodnikov Bradley, you saw Ruslan Provodnikov take that step up into world title, main event status, which he now does have a belt, which he took from Mike Alvarado. And you see Bradley, who has been a main eventer for quite some time, but to really go to the brink and to be that fan-friendly fighter, to get in there and mix it up. Not the greatest strategy in the world, but it did win him some fans. Even though some were mad that they picked Bradley. I'm sorry, when he decided to box and lay hands on Provodnikov, I had to give it to him because that was a hellacious first 2 rounds that he came back from, and then it was maybe 2 other rounds where he just...
I think it was like 6 and 12.
Yeah, 12 where he took the knee, which was, again, now that was a smart move on his part.
Yeah.
He took a chance, but it was a smart move.
Yeah. But other than that, he did box Provodnikov's ears off. I thought he was going to do that from start, but he wanted to go out there and be a macho man, and he got some sense knocked into him, literally.
That's right.
So that fight, being as high profile as it was, being that a belt was on the line, more people were watching.
Mm-hmm.
We got to go with that for Fight of the Year. Now, my favorite fight was the fight we just talked about, was the Figueroa Arakawa fight.
Look it up.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a lot of people who didn't see that fight, so you guys should look that fight up because it was awesome.
Look it up. Trust us.
But yeah, we gotta go with Tim Bradley, Ruslan Provodnikov for Fight of the Year because that was the most significant action-packed fight that happened this year. Another one may have been Maidana Broner. That was a good fight. As much as people like to harp on Broner, he showed a lot of heart in that fight. He fought back, especially like those last few rounds. He started to really get in his groove, and he made it competitive. It was just too little, too late. And Maidana was Maidana, and
Just poured it on.
yeah, and we got a good fight. All of Keith Thurman's fights were good, especially him and Diego Chaves. That was a barn burner.
And again, check out Glenn Tapia versus Abby Han.
Yeah.
That was a very surprising fight.
Oh, Glenn Tapia versus James Kirkland. That was
A great fight.
that one hurt my head. They got hit in the face so many times. I had a headache from it.
I felt
so
bad.
if you haven't seen that one, look that one up too. But let's talk about what we're looking forward to for 2014. For me, I'm really looking forward to Tim Bradley or Manny Pacquiao getting some sense and getting the hell up out of Top Rank. Pardon my language.
I can't even say anything because you just said it. They need to go. They need to move on. There are better fights for those two. It's not going to be this Bradley, Pacquiao, Marquez triangle. We're tired of that. We've seen maybe Bradley, Pacquiao one more time, but I don't want to see Marquez and Pacquiao fight again. And Tim Bradley won just clear cut enough to, he beat Marquez, all right?
Yeah. I really like Marquez, but he kind of is a sore loser. But when you put your heart on, in the game like that, hey, he got a right to be a sore loser. Who am I to judge? Anyway.
I'm looking forward to Andre Ward actually taking that step up so he can be main event not just main event status, but pay-per-view. I mean, he's at 168. There's plenty of fights for him. There's Julio Cesar Chavez, maybe, if they want to put him in that fight. He can take out Carl Froch again, but I'd rather see him in there versus George Groves, to be honest. That would be a good fight.
Yeah. I want to see him against Froch because I want to see if he can stop him. I want to see what Carl Froch will have to say after first he gets outclassed, and then he runs his mouth for 2 years, and then gets knocked out.
And
I want to
guess
see what he got to say.
He's got his shoulder's 100%, so that would make the biggest difference.
Yeah. And last time he beat him with the broken hand. So, I mean, let's see that. I want to see that.
I want to see more Danny Garcia, and I want to see more Keith Thurman.
Oh, definitely. Most definitely. I want to see if they put him in with Maidana. They were supposed to put him in with Maidana for his HBO debut. Maidana was like, no, I'm good. Let's see if he wants to do that now.
That's right. And I'm excited to see what Cotto's going to do. You got a couple exit strategies right now with Cotto, Sergio Martinez, and they're slated to fight each other
In June.
In June, while they're both on the downside of their career, they still make good fights and they're still great fighters, and they are future Hall of Famers.
Yep. I also want to see who wins the Mayweather lottery. Right now, there's a few names being thrown out. He's supposed to fight twice this year. Let's find out who those two people are. Those are going to be big mega events.
Yeah. Right now, the rumor is Khan and Maidana. And of course, you're going to hear the Pacquiao stuff out there.
Don't believe that crap. Don't believe that crap.
Now, and we said this thanks to Reese Turner writing in. Tim Bradley, if he fights one more time in Top Rank, and that is his last fight with Top Rank, I want to see him jump ship or become a promotional free agent and get that Mayweather fight in September.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys like this video. If you do, click the like button. Whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or Google+, plus one it on Google+. Share it with your friends. Hit that share button. Share it. Let it be known. Hit us up on all the social networks, Google+, Facebook, YouTube. You can send us an email, capitalcombat@gmail.com. You can post it up on our Facebook wall, on our Google+ page. We will answer your question, and if need be, we'll put up a video for it. Anything else you got?
2014. We're looking forward to some great fights, and stay tuned.
All right. Peace.
This is round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire, I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage, keep thinking that it's a game. I kick crime, hurricane. I told them I don't play, I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.